First, some important info. I, 44 male, have a younger brother, 41 male, and we're the only children. We are also not from the US or any Western country. My father passed away almost 10 years ago. Since our mother was also dead, we divided his estate equally. His estate was a farm of 12 hectares, 30 acres. Back then it had a house, a barn, a pond, wheat fields, and olive fields. Us both were working office jobs in the city and did not want to be farmers. But after my dad died, my wife convinced me to quit, buy out my brother, and start a business with her. She had degrees in business and hospitality. I was working in accounting. And that's what I did. I bought out my brother at market price. After that, my wife and I transformed the farm, got government subsidies to make our farm more sustainable, transformed the area by the pond into a garden and romantic strolling route and a fishing spot. The closest farm plots were made into a pedagogic farm, and some made available to guests to rent. Built small houses, built a stable, and bought some horses. We made it into a retreat where you can either spend the day, act as a farmer and have some authentic food, or rent a cabin and try farm life. The rest of the farm was left to farm hands. Since we are barely 2 hours outside city limits, it became a booming business. We are booked solid all year. We have schools coming for tours, activities every weekend, couples throwing their weddings here. And after the first 5 years, we were able to pay off our debt and are making great money. My brother used his money to buy a house, 2 cars, and on his children's schooling. And they are living well. I would say upper middle class by my country standards, but nothing like me and my family. Now he says that he wants in on the business, that what he was paid was not fair. I told him no, that he got what his land was worth back then. Now he is no longer talking to me, and he is the only family I have left. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He got market value for his half. He used it up. You invested your time and money, and now you are getting your return on investment. No need to feel guilty. Not the a-hole. If he had invested his half of the money into literally anything else, would he share the fruits of that investment with you? I don't think so. You had all the risk of transforming the place, and you had all the risk of it not working too. Also, it definitely sounds like you invested some of your own money too, to make all that possible. He wants all the fruits of the labor without doing any of the labor. I get that you don't want to lose him, so maybe there is a calm way to talk about all of this, with a mediator present or something like that. He needs to understand that you invested the money and succeeded. But, you could have failed too. And if you did, would he just give you money from his half? Not the a-hole. The only way I could take side with your brother would be if you took advantage of his grieving and bought his share. I do doubt this is a possibility, considering it must have taken some time for your wife to convince you to give up your career to suddenly become a farmer. Also, it's been 10 years, and he hasn't mentioned any regret during that time. I think it's clear your brother is having money troubles or perhaps a midlife crisis. Either way, he got a fair deal for his share. If he wants back in, he can offer to repurchase his half. I'm newly pregnant with our first child. My husband's brother just recently proposed to his girlfriend, of 4 months, and they plan on getting married when I'm 38 weeks pregnant. They live about 7 hours away from us. I don't really like his fiancée due to some very off-the-wall and inappropriate comments she made during my mother-in-law's funeral, but everyone else seems to like her, so I'm doing my best to get along with her. When she asked me to be a part of her bridal party, I thought, cool, this is a chance for me to get to really know her and maybe be friends outside the first time I met her, which was at the funeral. She hadn't set the date yet, but I told her I was pregnant and when I was due, and that I don't want her to reschedule her wedding around me. My husband and I also wouldn't be able to attend if it was closer to my due date. They set the date, and she asked about dresses for me when I told her that while we are very happy for her, we won't be able to come. She asked why, and I repeated what I told her before she set the date, and that I couldn't travel that far late in pregnancy. She had a meltdown. She insisted that I could still come since it was only a 7-hour drive, barring traffic, and that if I couldn't come, my husband needed to still come because it was his brother. I said, this is our first child, and if I go into labor, I will not be doing it by myself, nor will my husband miss the birth of our child to attend anyone's wedding. She called me selfish for missing her wedding, and that if at least my husband didn't go, we wouldn't speak to them again. My husband is now anxious because he wants to be there for his brother, but knows if he leaves me and I go into labor, he could theoretically miss the birth of his first child. The added bit about making sure him and his brother don't have a relationship when they've always been close also adds fuel to the fire. She texted everyone in the family group chat that I was aggressive and controlling for not letting my husband attend their wedding without context, saying I did not like her. I hadn't planned on telling all of our extended family we were pregnant yet, since I was still in my first trimester. My husband texted back saying I'm not forcing him to do anything, but we agreed not to tell anyone we were pregnant yet, So our phones have been going off for hours with texts about setting our pettiness aside to be happy for the couple. Even those who know I'm pregnant and would be close to my due date say I should at least let my husband go. My mom labored for only 3 hours with me and an hour with my sister, and she had us both at the 39-week mark. My mother also had a short labor, so I feel very uncomfortable with the idea of leaving our city to travel so far away during the last weeks of my first pregnancy. Not the a-hole. Baby can come at any time during the last few weeks of pregnancy. Your husband's place is with you during that time. 7 hours away is too far for him to be traveling when you could give birth any day. And honestly, whilst he was there, he would not enjoy the wedding, nor could he drink, because he would be crapping his pants in case you went into labor. It would be a lot less fun than they think. Absolutely not the a-hole. You are supposed to be within 1 hour of your hospital once you reach the end of pregnancy, or even some high-risk cases even earlier than that. There are way too many variables, and 38 weeks is not the time to be going 7 hours away. There's even a chance you'll already have delivered your baby, and there's 0 sense to bringing a 1 to 2 week old 7 hours away for a wedding. Having a baby absolutely trumps attending a wedding. Why is she expecting you to prioritize her wedding over your family? You already established your boundary and said no. She needs to respect your wishes. Your husband should not plan to attend without you. Again, starting your family trumps a wedding every single time. He shouldn't be choosing to be away from that. Not the a-hole. Firstly, huge congratulations, and I wish you a happy and healthy pregnancy and birth. Your husband wants to be with you for the birth of your child. You told her your due date, and told her prior to the fact that you didn't want to attend if it was near. She can rearrange a wedding. Unfortunately, baby will come when baby wants to come. You can't schedule these things. Sounds like this is a divorce waiting to happen for brother-in-law, to be honest. Too quick a relationship, and fiancé sounds like a nightmare. Stick to your guns. You've made the right decision. Update. My husband responded to the family members who reached out to us individually and told them the situation, including the fact sister-in-law was informed of our due date and that we wouldn't be able to attend if they chose a wedding date close to it. His brother finally called him back, and he spoke with him directly, and from what he understands, he was at work, so future sister-in-law was not around. My husband explained it was 100% his decision to stay with me and had a heart-to-heart talk of which a lot was discussed. His brother was surprised about the ultimatum, apologized for his fiance's behavior, explaining that they apparently recently had a miscarriage, news to us, and she likely was taking out her feelings, including jealousy, on me. He also told my husband that he was going to talk to sister-in-law and have the date changed since they didn't sign a contract with any vendors yet. He said he really wants us there since we're close, and he'll either move the wedding forward or push it back. So I guess we might be going to the wedding after all. Though I told my husband at this point he can be a groomsman, but I definitely will not be part of the bridal party because I didn't want her to take out her feelings on me throughout my pregnancy while she's wedding planning. Today was super stressful, and I won't be responding to any more comments, but I wanted to thank all of you for all your support and suggestions. I started having doubts about whether or not I was the a-hole here when family kept pestering us to concede, but I'm glad to find out our decision was perfectly normal and expected. My fiancé comes from a gymming family. They love the gym and fitness and all that, which is great. He's perfect, and I love how much he likes to work out. I, on the other hand, am not a gym person. I'm a curvier girl. Yeah, I'll work out and go on hikes and runs, but I'm not hitting it like his family. Doesn't mean I'm unhealthy. He loves me as is, and I love him as is. When I met his family, his sisters welcomed me with open arms. I love them like they're my blood. As for his parents, the first thing his dad did was look at my partner and ask if he was serious. My fiancé and his sisters went off at their dad for saying that. He tried to write it off as a joke, but we all knew what he meant. Anytime I saw his parents, his dad would give me looks and his mother would make snarky comments about my weight and outfits. She would never do it when my partner or his sisters were around because they would tell her off for it. My partner proposed and we started planning our wedding. I'm Pakistani and we traditionally have big weddings, and it's not uncommon for parents to pay for it. So my parents offered to pay for our big Desi wedding. My fiancé and his sisters are excited, and since the wedding will be huge, we decided to make the engagement party very small. Well, when his parents heard my parents will be paying for the wedding, and they offered to pay for an engagement party, we refused. They insisted, and now they are. Last night, we had a family dinner at his sister's place, and at the dinner, my fiancé's mother made multiple comments about me going on a diet and starting to lose weight before the wedding, and she kept mentioning how she is paying for the engagement party. There's only so much a person can take. So I confronted her about it in front of everyone. I told her that if she can't stand a fat bride-to-be, then she doesn't have to pay for it, and she's uninvited to our engagement party. My fiancé intervened and said we can't not invite his mother. She started crying and yelling at how she already paid for the venue and catering, so she is paying for it and she will be attending. I don't know what venue and catering because nothing was run past my fiance and I to check if we approve. His sisters agreed with me and also berated their mother for her behavior towards me and said that it is fair she is uninvited. We all went back and forth and I got sick of it, so I left. Later, when my fiance came home, he said he understands how hurt I am, but we can't uninvite his mom, especially since she has already planned and paid for everything. I told him then I won't attend, and now he's pissed and told me I'm being immature and a B. But I stand by what I said. If she can't stand the way I look, then why should she be there? If he wants her there so bad, then I won't go. I won't tolerate being insulted and criticized at my own party. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And please don't marry a man who would ever call you a B. Ever. Under any circumstances. No one who truly loves you and sees you as their partner in life should even want to call you demeaning names, even if they're upset with you, much less a name like that. My parents have been married for over 50 years, and they've had their fair share of fights, including some really nasty ones. In all those years, it would never ever have occurred to my dad to call my mom a B. He'd be horrified at even the idea of speaking to her that way. You are not the a-hole, but take this as a warning. No man who puts his mother's feelings or money about a mere party above yours, even as she is belittling your literal body and self, and who would call you such horrible names, is someone you want to make a life with. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I'm not one to jump to divorce or end relationships, but this is your future. This woman will make these same comments to any child you have. Since your fiancé is refusing to have your back now, you know deep down he won't have his own children's back in the future. And you will be equally to blame if you knowingly bring any child into this toxic family. Not the a-hole, but trust me, if he doesn't have your back now over something so egregious, don't expect him to later. I'm not like some on here who encourage splitting up over the smallest things, but please see a therapist. This is a fixable issue based around communication and prioritizing your spouse, but unchecked, this will be a disaster. Note: my parents had me when Mike was a teenager, and Mike had Logan at 22, so I'm closer in age to my nephew. 36 female. My brother, 53 male, Mike, and his wife, 52 female, Chloe, believe that the world should revolve around their son, Logan, 31 male, and that anyone who thinks differently is wrong and doesn't realize how special Logan is. Logan, Mike, and Chloe tell people that Logan does freelancing for a living, which is code for Logan being unemployed, playing video games, and generally living like a teenager off school. Mike and Chloe handle all of Logan's adult responsibilities. They send him money every month so Logan can pay rent and have fun. Chloe will cook most of Logan's meals and drop them off at his house. She will do and drop off all his laundry as well. Mike and Chloe tried getting me to fork over money for a Vegas vacation because I had just taken a trip to Fort Lauderdale, and it's not fair that Logan doesn't get to go on a vacation as well. I told them hell no, because Logan's a 30-year-old man and I'm not going to pay for his vacation. Mike and Chloe told me how selfish and awful I was toward my own nephew. Mike and Chloe also expect other family members to cater to Logan this way and react the same way if someone else isn't revolving their life around Logan. Naturally, our relationship is very strained. We keep our interactions very superficial, and we don't see each other unless we're all at a family event. A few days ago, we were at a baby shower for Mike and I's cousin. Mike and Chloe came up to me just to criticize me over the fact that I attended Alexia's, Logan's ex-fiancée, hooding ceremony. Some background information is that Alexia was given a list of marriage demands for Mike and Chloe. They expected Alexia to provide 3 meals a day and do all of the chores while still working full-time. Logan had told Alexia that he was completely supporting himself through his freelance work. Alexia didn't know until then that Mike and Chloe were sending him money every month and handling all his responsibilities. Logan always insisted on going to her house. Alexia noped out of the relationship, and Alexia and I are still friends. I told Mike and Chloe that I'm an adult and I'm allowed to be friends with whomever I want. They started to raise their voices and said I'm disrespecting them by speaking with Alexia after she abandoned Logan and can't see how great he is. I told them that for crying out loud, Logan isn't special and he's an overgrown child. They may have deluded themselves, but stop being mad that nobody else is enabling their fantasy. Family members are divided on what I said. Some are arguing with what I said because they're tired of Mike and Chloe's demands that everyone's life must revolve around Logan, and it had to be said. But others are saying that it was supposed to be a nice family event, and even if I don't mean it, I could have just said sorry instead of causing drama. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If they ask you to fork over cash again, just act all innocent and say, I'm not paying for a grown man. He should use the earnings from his freelance work and pay for it himself. and then excuse yourself from the conversation. Not the a-hole. It needed to be said. You don't need to apologize for who you were friends with. I don't blame Alexia for noping her butt out of there. I'm surprised she stayed long enough to get to the fiancé stage. Logan is an overgrown child, and his parents have done him a huge disservice in preparing him for the adult world. Not the a-hole. They cornered you. They took issue with your friendship. They berated you. You simply defended yourself. They had every opportunity to not create the drama. They could have left you alone. They could have been cordial and not taken issue with your friendships. They could have kept it superficial and non-confrontational. They could have chosen not to press for a response. It's unfortunate they didn't like the response provided, but they caused the entirety of the situation, not you.